Throughout Donald Trump's second term, we have seen his administration repeatedly undermine key national security and law enforcement agencies in order to pursue Trump's political projects and objectives. And according to a new report from Senate Democrats obtained by MS Now, the Trump administration has engaged in a systematic dismantling of the post-9/11 counterterrorism protections. As Democrats write in the report, the administration has canceled critical funding, fired or reassigned essential national security personnel, and prioritized targeting its political opponents and indiscriminate mass deportations at a time when national security experts warn that the threat of violence from U.S.-based violent extremists and overseas terrorists remains high. The report says the Justice Department and the FBI have lost more than 15,000 employees. Others have been reassigned, including the entire staff of the FBI's Domestic Terrorism Operations Section. MS Now has reached out to the White House for comment, but we have not heard back. Joining me now is the former CIA director under President Barack Obama, John Brennan. John, this is so telling. National security is the one thing Republicans always beat their breast about, certainly since 9/11. This report essentially says politically motivated moves by this administration have made this country more vulnerable, made us less safe, and more vulnerable to attacks from bad actors out there. What from this report stands out to you?
Well, Michael, as you know, we're just 6 weeks away from the 25th anniversary of 9/11. And over the past 25 years, successive administrations, Republican and Democrats, have put together a national ecosystem of counterterrorism professionals, of technology, of databases, of networks, of relationships, in order to ensure that we're never going to be facing another 9/11. And apparently, according to this report, over the last 18 months, and I think it's quite evident to all, there's been quite an exodus of professionals, of individuals who have populated the FBI, Department of Justice, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, and others, the ones who not only are the counterterrorism experts in the substance and the nature of the threats, but the ones that maintain the systems, the networks, and make sure that the databases are kept up to date. And the state and local officials, which is really where the rubber meets the road, where you actually stop terrorist attacks, they're the ones that rely so heavily on the federal government in order to get the information, the guidance, the direction, and the help that they need. So what we see now is basically a dismantling of that this national network, which nests within an international architecture. Mm-hmm. Because what the federal government does and the counterterrorism professionals do, they not only feed down to the state and locals, they also share information abroad so that our British colleagues, our French colleagues, and others can piece together the dots that we provide them so that we're able to have better insight and stop people from coming here to the States. But as you point out in this report, it shows that this administration is redirecting those professionals not to go against, those terrorist groups and the ones that really worry us, is to go against, undocumented workers, to go against these phantom violent groups on the left like Antifa, whatever. And so there's a neutering of capability, but also misdirecting a lot of the capabilities that still exist, not against the threats and the areas that we really need to be concerned about, but other politically motivated directions.
That's such an important point because it levels up for me, Director Brennan. One of the things that this country continues to fail at, and that is recognizing the homegrown variety of domestic terrorism that has plagued this country since the Civil War. One of the things this report points out is how the Trump administration has broadened the designation of terrorist organizations to include gangs and cartels, as well as designating Antifa, which isn't a structured organization. It's an idea. They're anti-fascist, right? Anti-fascism as a domestic terrorism organization. How does this undermine our national security at the expense of Trump's political goals? Because you're going again after political opponents as opposed to going after real domestic homegrown terrorism, which we've experienced here in the United States.
Well, I think counterterrorism professionals over the past couple of decades recognize that while, yes, there are some left-wing groups that do engage in some violence, the number of those groups pales in comparison to those that are on the right wing, whether it's here in the United States or in other places around the globe, such as in Germany, like the AfD group. These are neo-Nazi groups and others. And so we've really seen here over the last 10, 15 years, the growth of these right-wing groups. And this is where I know the FBI professionals that I had worked with were very concerned about. They're making sure that we're able to understand exactly what they're doing, who they're collaborating with. Are they getting outside support, foreign instigation? These are things that the counterterrorism professionals really want to understand. But if you're taking away, for example, FBI analysts and sending them down to Georgia to take a look at, some of the voting issues there, it really is just, taking away the capabilities that we have to prevent the attacks. We want to stop these terrorist activities upstream, not when somebody is ready to set off a bomb, but to see them when they're starting to gain the financing or put together the capabilities, to make the contacts, relationships, to start to plot and plan. These are the things that, again, federal, state, and local officials are supposed to be doing, as opposed to going after these, again, politically motivated objectives that really make this country less safe and is undermining the work that I said, under President George W. Bush. I was the first director of the National Counterterrorism Center. Mm-hmm. He made sure that the different agencies and departments had the capabilities, had the resources, but also were working together with one another. Now it seems as though the Trump administration is taking that apart. And unfortunately, I think it does put us at greater risk.
All right. John Brennan, really appreciate you, friend, for being with us.